renounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be.
We are back, and we got a great one for you folks today. With that said, I am not dressed like the folks who are in the building right now because we have the great one. We got Herm in the building and Chrissy. They're dressed up really nice. What's going on, guys?
Not much. How's it going?
We're just working.
Just working.
You know.
Just getting it in.
Just getting it in. Hey, that's
what we do.
That's exactly what we do. We also got DoseOfDion, man. What's going on, Dose, baby?
Hey, how we doing, Mike? It's good to be here, man. You know, it's always a good time when none of your pens work. You know how that is.
I don't know why that's relevant right now, but hey, it works right now. I'm glad that none of your pens work, and you're good to go. And we got Anthony from Roar of the Lions UK. What's going on, man?
Hey, Mike. Hey, panel. Hey to you all in the chat. It's approaching midnight here in the UK, but I am very happy to be here with you all. It's always great to have a chat with you guys.
Absolutely, man. And make sure you all go ahead and smash that like button really quick. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, and with your help, it can definitely happen. We're going to be talking about... I want to hear a great story from Herman. I got to hear about rookie, his time as rookies. Can you throw some stories at us, Herm?
You know, I could give you a lot of stories.
You just went right for it, Mike.
Yeah.
You know what it comes down to? It depends on, you know, what kind of stories are you really looking for? You know, I have to keep it tempered because of the audience.
Yeah.
But I'll give you my first one. So my rookie year. And you know what?
I mean, are we going to lead into this to win it all? Or you're just going?
You know what? I'm going hard to go home.
I mean, how old were you? What year was it?
All right. Let me start over. Right?
Set the scene.
Let me set the tone here. So I recently had received my final ticket to come up because I'd already taken the rookie camp and had done all those things, left and went home back to Virginia, getting ready to come back to Michigan. And then ultimately training camp rolls around. We're getting training camp ready, getting all our gear. You know, I came up, I wanted to make sure I had some gear, you know, some nice new clothes. I was able to, you know, afford a few things, you know, do a little bit upgrading.
What was your best outfit?
It was still sweats. You know, I didn't have my, you know, the Nike or the Reebok contracts. I was with Apex. For many of you who remember the Apex, right? That was, yeah, exactly. It was Apex shoes. That's who my initial contract was with on my shoes. Because I wasn't quite there. It was just a first round pick. Anyway, 22 years old, had an opportunity to get my first credit card and have my little bank account and get some things going. Thought I was balling out, you know, and those kind of things. But did not realize the more you try to floss and the more you try to show that you had some ends, the more they realize you're the first round pick and you got to pay for a lot of things. So the tradition was the vets would pick a spot and myself up to from first round to third round. And they gave a little bit of leeway to those who were for fourth round picks. But the first through third round picks, we had to pay for one night out for the entire team.
The entire
team would come out. So we went to a spot in Pontiac. I won't name what it was. And they ran up the bill. At that point, I was not into. I didn't partake in, you know, grown folks spirits like alcohol.
Grown folks spirits.
Yeah, that's what we call it. Yak. You know. So I didn't realize that is where they really hit you.
Oh yeah.
When I say they were buying the bar, yeah, they were buying the bar over and over and over. I don't even know if everybody in there were even Detroit Lion players. it was some people I didn't recognize. Now, you don't always know all your teammates, but I know we had a pretty nice bill to where, if I'm not mistaken, now don't hold me to this, but I want to say we actually had to pay for it in parts. Like, it was on like borrowed money because we hadn't quite received that first game check because we're in training camp. You know, I had a signing bonus. I already gave that to my agent and gave it to my financial planner. And most of us were like that. We weren't just walking around with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in our pocket.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first one.
See, what I hear now is that it's just a position group. Like, they made you do the whole team.
It was the whole team.
In training camp, which means that the
position.
team's like a gajillion people.
Yeah, you got guys that they could have been part of the cleanup crew and the groundskeeping team. You know, you don't know who all the people were. And I'm sure we paid some extra bills. I'm sure we paid yeah.
Who was on your pay team? Who were you?
So myself, Reggie Barrett, and Calvin Pritchett.
Oh, Calvin Pritchett.
Yeah. So Calvin was the other first round pick that year with the Lions, and Reggie Barrett they picked in the second or third round. I don't even know if we had a second round pick.
Did you guys cry
but
that
whoever
night?
were it. Yeah, I was broke. I was like, man, I must be the brokest person in the NFL at this point because I had nothing.
Yeah.
And I was relying on that training camp check because it wouldn't be. We didn't make $50 million up front.
Were you like,
guaranteed.
man, this isn't fair?
It wasn't fair. But one last one, real quick.
Okay, one last one.
All
real
right,
quick.
here's
Sorry
the
to
last one. Then we can, if you want me to give you another one later. Fast forward, training camp's going well. I'm doing well as a rookie receiver. I hadn't quite started dropping passes like I did in my first preseason game. So everybody really loved me and everything was cool. But they did this thing where any clothes you would wear, if you're the first round guy, they would take your clothes and take them out of your locker while you're at practice. You come back, all your clothes are gone. I mean, the shoes, the pants, the shirt, everything you brought over. So if you had keys in your pocket, it doesn't matter what you had. Everything was gone. And they had a designated driver who would take those and dump those out on I-75.
Oh,
this is mean, man.
So not only were they breaking the law, but I mean, literally your clothes. So I actually thought, okay, I'm gonna go up there and look for my clothes. Me. I'm going to look for, I don't know, $50, $100 worth of clothes. I don't know. Cause I wasn't, shopping at the high end stores. And you would think after a couple of practices, I would get the hint. And it took me a few spaces into that before I got smart. And I started wearing Detroit Lion gear home, and I would wear Detroit Lion gear back to practice. You throw away as much of that as you want because I just go back into the equipment room and get more clothes. That's UVA, folks. Everybody that's online, go ahead, because I know you like that story. Hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel because I'm telling you, it is stories like that. That is what makes it work. That's what makes it. Think about it. So, yeah, the Lions had a little bit extra,
So how many times did it take you before you figured that out?
After a couple, man.
Were you really proud of yourself once you figured it out?
I'm very proud that I'm a problem solver, even to this day. Detroit Lions shorts, and they had them the big old school
with
throwback.
Like the holes, the whole thing.
Yeah, the sweats when they were no longer what you needed, you just cut them off and make them shorts. It was like it was just terrible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. All right. Well.
So there you go.
But did you actually go try to get into traffic to retrieve some of your clothing?
Did. I tried it once.
You tried to go into traffic.
I literally went up on 75 looking for some clothes that I thought I was going to pick up off the street, put them back in a clean, I guess in the washer with the gravel and everything else, and the tire tracks.
So you had no sense of pride. There's no way in hell I'd be like running.
I mean, you're not thinking. You're just like, man, they took my clothes. I got to go find my stuff, And then it dawns on you, like, dude, you know what? The time and effort you're doing all that.
Because somebody had to be following you to with a camcorder to record that.
Not back then, we weren't in this technological age.
Camcorder. I said camcorder.
Yeah, but still, you better off just getting a hand artist and a sketch artist to drive around with me, man, drawing the scene. But that's that story, man. We'll get into some that are a little bit deeper because I want to make sure I'm not just talking about my stories, man. I want to bring in some and put some other people under the bus with me that will really be shockers.
That's hilarious, by the way, finding clothes. Now, there's one guy that's really good at dressing. He's got great hair. I call him Elvis Dosey. Elvis Dosey. What is some funny things that happen at training camp? Obviously, you've been there multiple times. What are some things that the fans should pay attention to a training camp coming up and some potential funny stuff that occurs?
That's good. I think the first thing I would say is I missed it. I think he did it twice. I missed it the first time, but I think the first day, and I don't know if it's for the season ticket members because they do have a day for season ticket members first, or maybe it's just the first day to everybody. I think it might be you might do both. But if you get there early, make sure you're there on time if you go the first day, because last year Dan Campbell did like a huge speech, and I think it like came out later, like people recording it and stuff like that. But he does the speech. He walks over to all the fans. So that's something to be there for. And he did it on the last day, too. He did a nice little speech for everybody. So, I'm always good for a speech. I don't know if you guys, if anybody was there when they had I don't remember what it was. They had the family day at Ford Field, and then they scrimmage each other. And Dan Campbell was talking about having fires in the backyard and stuff like that. Okay. I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I enjoy it. I enjoy a nice little story. So, if you're here for a story, be there the first day, the last day, be there early. And also go to family day, because you just might get a campfire story or something. He'll have something else this year. He'll have something up his sleeve.
Let us know in the comment section right now. Are you going to training camp? Y for yes and N for no. Spam the comment sections with Y's and N's. If you are, that's awesome. Can't wait. Be there. I'm sure Dose will see you as well. It's going to be a good time. But let's talk about a little bit of defense, Anthony. What is your expectations for the Lions' defensive line this year? Last couple years we haven't been good, but they have placed a lot of capital upon this defensive line, a lot of acquisitions in the draft, spent some money. What is your expectations this year?
My expectations are quite high with the defensive line. I've said this on our podcast several times now, but Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell preach the trenches. They say that's where the game is won. That's where you start to build your team. That is the power of your side. And when you have, a line now that has, a good amount of investment in it in terms of Charles Harris just got paid, Michael Brockers is getting paid well, Romeo got paid well last year, and then the, capital, like you said, we've spent in the draft. We've spent a first-round pick on Aidan. We've spent second-round picks on Levi and Paschal. We've spent a third-round pick on Aleem McNeil. That's a lot of investment to make in your line, and you expect to see results from that. Now, I know there are some rookies in there, but you have the right amount of experience in there with them. So, if this team wants to progress to the next level and wants to win games, especially with some of the deficiencies on the rest of the defense, it has to come to play. I expect it to do well this year. We've got a good edge rushing room. We've got a good interior in my eyes. And, for me, it's no excuses. This is where they say games are won and lost. They've put so much investment into it. We've got to see results from it.
Herman Moore, this is interesting. I was listening to Ray Lewis speak, and he was talking about when their team won a Super Bowl, he was asked a question about how their defense was so dominant. Did you ever get frustrated with the offense that it was kind of lackluster and compared to the defense? In your case, your guys' offense was absolutely stunning. I feel like the Detroit Lions offense this year is much improved compared to their defense. Did it ever frustrate you when you were a player, and what can the Lions do defensively this year to not frustrate, potentially the offense?
If I'm looking at, as you go through and you look at this defensive unit, I think there's a lot of upside. There's a lot that they should be excited about. And I don't see them as being really a unit that you have to be overly concerned about. I think they're just going to continue to improve. I'm looking more at the injury thing, right? As long as you keep guys healthy, I think this defense will continue to ascend. Offensively, I think there's still more question marks there in the skill position, because you have players with potential. You have players who have shown that they have the ability to make plays, but that has not been fielded yet. So you can't really put the cart before the horse, and say that this is going to be a team that the defense is going to have to make sure they are on par, because the offense is going to go out and do all these spectacular things. Offense, to me, still has a prove. There's a proving spot. We had great players year in and year out for a nice period of time back in the 90s, and I go back to just that period. But you look at all the times Lions have had that. It's all of that working together at one time. I think when you talk about Ray Lewis and you listen to some of the things that he said, and these great players who've gone to the Super Bowl, you got to have a defense. You really do. It doesn't mean that they have to be the number one or top five, but they have to be a respectable defense that can make plays, that can cause turnovers. that can put your offense in position to score. And then the offense has to then be the one that goes in and capitalizes off of that good field position, that capitalizes off of the turnovers, that go out and make plays when plays aren't there, just like the defense. So I don't think one unit outweighs the other. That's just my looking at it right now. But I do believe I still get my edge because I kind of know what I expect out of the defense. The offense still has me going, okay, we'll see.
Do you think that this defensive line can really show out this year? I mean, we really invested a lot in the last couple of years, and just like you're saying, health. Got to stay healthy. You know, now we got Levi. He's healthy. He's been healthy. We got Joshua Paschal, Aidan Hutchinson, Romeo Okwara, Charles Harris. Do you think that this defensive line can really show out and help the Lions offense and help the whole team as a whole, you know, getting to the quarterback, potentially getting turnovers?
This team has to have more takeaways. It has to produce. I think the interceptions last year were great. I think we saw some players in the secondary come up with some really good plays, pass defenses and those things. But the pressure is what's going to make this unit. Upgrading the defensive line was a must. And for them to go after someone who can get to the quarterback, getting pass rushers that are going to command more than just single, protection in terms of blockers, man-on-man, one-on-one, they're creating matchup issues. The linebacking unit, I think, is going to be pivotal because as you move them around, as they walk to the line, or as you start to get them playing in coverage, they're going to be the ones that are going to have to make sure tackles. They're the ones who are going to have to make sure that they can provide that extra pressure when the other guys are getting the double coverage or getting locked up. So that's going to be interesting to see what the turnover and the impact will be for those guys.
Now, Chrissy, if people don't know, again, she's part of the Lions organization for 10 years. She's seen many regimes. She's seen many great players. When you look at this team, do you feel that the players now that we have potentially could really live up to the expectations? I mean, you've seen great defensive lines up front. Dominic Sue. I mean, you've seen Nick Fairley when we drafted him. Kyle Vanden Bosch when we had him for the Lions. Do you think that this team could live up? Yeah, when he came here as a free agent that one year, I thought
Kyle
he was
Vanden Bosch was a good one because you know that Coach Schwartz showed up at his house. The second free agency started with a bottle of wine. At the same time, Scott Linehan was showing up at Nate Burleson's doorstep with a bottle of wine. So that was those stories. There's no telling how they're going to perform, but the hope is definitely there. It's really exciting that they have, that the top pick is a playmaker on, defensive end, because defensive line can just completely change the complexity or the complexion of a defense. It's just, when you see that pressure, it creates that domino effect. So there's definitely a hope. I'm personally excited about it. I think that defensive plays and big plays on defense, I don't know. It's like you get these big plays on offense and that's always exciting, but there's something about a defensive stand and just getting after the quarterback and just annihilating an opponent offense that just fires up. That's
the tone.
Fires up a crowd.
Defense, that's the tone. I always used to love when our defense would go out and they would have a spectacular hit. Someone would have a nice pick, pass defense, or they shut down a guy and you just see the frustration starting to mount. It fires up, to your point, it fires up the people in the stands. It fires up your home crowd. But the offense comes out now with a whole different type of energy when they know they have a defense that came to play. So I agree. And I'm excited to see this defensive unit take to the field. I'm excited to see the talent and how it starts to come together, given the fact that so much of it we saw develop last year. I mean, I think we were all looking at, okay, where are the plays going to come from? Jeff Okudah gets hurt. You get some guys that you think they're going to step up. They don't quite perform. You get some free agents that aren't quite performing. And all of a sudden you're trying to go, where's the excitement going to come from? Where are the plays going to come from? And all of a sudden you got the secondary stepping up. You got guys playing together as a whole unit. Now you start to mix in some real outstanding individual talented people. That's a defense to look at.
It was really cool to see the defense progress over the course of the season. And that is something that, was said about Dan Campbell. That is true that he kept them in it. you know, as difficult as it was, and you weren't contending anymore, but they kept coming to play, which I think was really awesome. On a side note, by the way, we're talking about training camp and we're talking about defense setting the tone. The one thing I will say is when you look at training camp, you feel bad for the defense when you're at training camp, don't you, when it's open to the fans? Because the fans only want to see the offense do well, and the defense could make a great play. It could be one-on-one with the receiver and the corner, and the corner makes a spectacular play, and the crowd will boo. They will boo.
You know what? I never thought about that.
Yeah, I always felt bad for the defensive guys at training camp. Sean Cody, I don't know if you remember Sean Cody, but at one point he actually yelled at all of the people that were there, and he was like, "Come on, guys, we're making plays too. Cheer for us."
But you know what? Now I know you all go to training camp. You know where the excitement came? It switched over when they started to hit. When the offensive line and the defensive ends or the pass rushers are trying to get to the quarterback or get to that little dummy or whatever, the ball. And then you had just any type of hitting.
Yeah.
That's where you hear that pad thudding, you hear all that excitement. All of a sudden, everybody leaves from where we are, you know, going through our steps and our releases at the line of scrimmage. Nobody cares about that anymore. It's like, who's down the street creating all of this energy? But yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see. They're there to be toast anyway.
Hey, Herm, do you know what's exciting for Dose at training camp?
Oh yeah, he's got to go and see as they keep moving the kicker back. You know, they start out in one way, and then as they move him back, Dose goes, "Oh man, look at this!" Hey, he goes, "Dose, baby."
Yeah.
Hey, he's at 20. He's at 40 yards now. Oh, he's kicking off of that right hash. They move him to
like the excitement just rises
and then all of a sudden,
and rises.
You know what else gets nice is when there's no pass, there's no rush on the defensive side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they move him back to like 70 yards, and they're trying to do these 70-yard field goals. I know Dose is just sitting there with like the popcorn, man. He's just sitting there like this, man, just all in just. Look at him. He's all getting excited right now. Look at that.
Thinking about it.
Look at that.
Hey, you know what? I'm the only one over there too. That's what's great about it. You know, everybody over like you said, everybody's watching the pass rushes, and there's me over there. Look at Austin Seibert out there kicking. All right, he missed that one. You know, it's all right. No, we'll keep it going. I tell the people, look, training camp's an awesome time for that alone. Like if they were just there kicking, it's an amazing time. But there's a lot like going. Here's what made me laugh when you guys were talking about everybody cheers for the offense. I got to give a shout out to my man Michael Banks here because I sat with him at training camp, and you know he's in the front row. This dude cheered louder for this than I think I've ever heard someone cheer for an actual game. It was the craziest thing ever. Like they were scrimmaging, and he was cheering for both sides. I was like, this is wild. So there was never like a boo because it was like, oh, it ain't complete. Let's go defense. Oh, we completed it. I mean, it was the hypest thing ever. So you know, make training camp what you want to make training camp. But yeah, when the drills get going, man, you got the running backs trying to block the blitzing linebackers. There's some thuds. We get the one-on-one. I mean, there's some drills in there now. I know you know, H man. There's some drills in there which are like, okay, this is fun. Everybody circles around it. Oh, it's about to go down. You get some of those little scuffles. That's the good stuff. But nothing tops the kicker battle. We'll just leave it there.
Hey, Dose, be honest. When you show up at training camp, you the guy that got the gloves on. You spat up your shoes, your little sneakers, and everything, huh?
Hey, I'm hyped. I'm ready to go.
Face paint.
Oh, and now I don't venture into the face paint. You know that's not my lane. That's not my alley. But I'm ready to go. Here's what you gotta look. There's a whole process to this. When you get there, first thing, hit IHOP. All right, hit IHOP on the way there because if not, you're not gonna have the energy to go. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have the energy when you show up. You know they got the cold water stuff coming down so you can cool yourself off. But you're there early, man. You taking notes. You sitting in the hot sun, but you're ready to go. 3 hours, whatever it is. Stand there for football autographs afterwards. And then here's the kicker right here. So you may have hit IHOP on the way, but on the way back, there's only two options. All right, there's either Golden Corral because it's the first time I hit Golden Corral. I was like, this is different. This
okay. Value shop. Go ahead.
That's what you know what I'm talking to. Hey, that's what it's at. I've never had Golden Corral before. I've never had White Castle, but training camp brought me to these places. Ooh, yeah, White Castle wasn't really for me, but Golden Corral was. Or get
you can go ahead and take about 5 years off your life. You're right. It's okay. You're doing the arteries good, brother.
Herman, talk about the scuffles.
Oh man, I don't want to get into the scuffles. All I know, I just want to say, man, I appreciate your commitment. I appreciate your commitment to making sure you fuel up before you get ready to go to training camp. making sure that you're feeding your body, you're feeding your health. Then you get there, man, you're taking care. I know you got the sunscreen thing right and everything, making sure that, you got that whole level set. And I know everyone appreciates you getting there in a punctual way and on time and making sure that you support. And you're setting the example of what a true ultimate fan looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's 100%.
I appreciate that. Well, Scuffles.
You really think people care that he's on time?
No one cares if he's on time, because I don't know many practices that actually start or end on time anyway. I mean, until they piss off the coach, and then either want them on the field or they want them out there later. So either way it works. Scuffles, we love Scuffles. Everybody talks about the fights. The fights are real.
Do you know what the best part about Scuffles is? The word scuffle.
You want to melee? You want to throw down?
Like the word,
beat down?
It's a scuffle. And you're talking about these giant men, and they had a scuffle.
I'm excited over there about that.
I told you I like the word scuffle. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know what you guys think. Anthony, what do you think about that, man? You into the scuffles?
And scuffle. I think he would like scuffle.
And you like the scuffles, man? You good?
Yeah. I'm all about the scuffles. All about the scuffles. But
okay.
We have tiffs over here. They're called tiffs.
Oh, what do you call them?
Tiffs. You have a tiff.
Tiffs.
Tiffs.
All right, they getting tips.
What you have over here.
They do. But I tell you what. So the scuffles are real. I will tell you this. It usually, guys will carry a grudge. There's grudge that you carry because the guy behind you is better, and you're mad because he's getting the love. You have scuffles where someone says something to you and you're just having a bad day. It's like anything else. But know what makes it? It's like having a flamethrower and a bunch of like gas fumes around that. All it takes is a spark.
Right.
Because you can get away with pretty much anything. It doesn't matter if you fight. It doesn't matter if you have profanity. It doesn't matter if you decide to just cold cock somebody. I mean, it doesn't matter. And then know what happens after that? You eat, you go to meetings, you go to film sessions, you say all your, hey, my apologies, no harm, no foul. And it's like you never fought. It is truly like family. It's like if you were fighting a brother, a close person of yours that you had a disagreement. I mean, we will fight over anything.
I mean, yeah.
We used to fight in a huddle about someone getting their number called more than the other person's number on a pass play when we already knew the plays were scripted. Like you already knew the plays were going to go 3 to this guy in a row and you were going to run the clear out. And yet you get angry when you get there. And it's like the heat, man. It does something to you.
The funny part is that, the guys get over it and you're back in team meal and meetings, but then the media drags it on for at least 24 hours. And it's the biggest deal ever.
Right. All right, here's a true story. So we always had a way to disrupt practice because we had 2-a-days back then and it would get really hot. And sometimes the coaches didn't realize, man, you needed a water break, really, for real. You had guys passing out and they're like, oh yeah, get up one more time. It's like, no, man, somebody's got to do something about this.
Right.
So we'd schedule fights, and the coaches didn't know this, that would disrupt practice, and it would take forever for all of us to kind of get separated and all that. But by then, you've killed like.
That's genius.
Exactly. It's like it's like the guy that falls down and cries injury when they didn't get injured because they had no more timeouts left.
Hence
right?
the 10-second rule.
Right. Yeah. But here, I mean, you just go, hey man, you want to next time we get over here, man, I'm gonna just grab you and throw you down and just. Maybe grab your face mask or something like that. We just tussle a little bit. So, man, we could have been running 9.99 all practice. I've been running this clear out all day. So, yeah, you had to do that. So I let that cat out the bag. So, coaches, on behalf of the other players who did that instead of me, I want to apologize on their behalf.
There's so many players on our staff. They probably know.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or say you don't know, you don't understand a play. Same thing,
Is there anyone you would never dare have had a scuffle with, Herman? Like, some of these linemen have built something. Even if he was annoying you, you'd be like, no, I'm not starting anything with him. Are there any guys like that?
As far as, I'll fight pretty much anybody. And one guy that I got in a big fight with at Saginaw was linebacker, and I can't remember his name. First name was Matt.
That's not general.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember what Matt's name is. He was from Colorado, man, blonde hair and stuff. Real
Matt, the
big
linebacker.
dude. He was a linebacker, man, but he was like the scout team, but then he got moved up. And Stephen Boyd was the linebacker who was typically there. And we always had a rule, if I'm coming out over the middle, we're short, and you're underneath, and I'm looking back at the quarterback, man, you don't just take out your teammate. And we were doing just like it wasn't a walkthrough, but it was like a jog through, and he didn't get the memo.
For a jog through?
Listen, all I know, I came it was a drive route. It was a Z drive. I remember the route. That's how bad he hit me. And I came out underneath, and I was running probably half to 3/4 speed because it wasn't a full speed drill. And we only had on the top shoulder pads, and that's when you only wore shorts with the top shoulder pads. And man, I came across, and something just didn't click. His brain wasn't firing the right way. And I mean, he wiped me out, feet and everything up in the air. It was awful. Now if it wasn't me, I'd be laughing, but it was me, and I wasn't laughing, but got up, man. And we just got in it, and I just went after him, pulled off, my helmet and stuff, started,
Did you win?
Wanted to swing. I don't know if I won because I was
That's
probably,
a no.
oh yeah. No, I didn't get beat down. I'm gonna tell you that now.
All right.
We still be fighting. I'm always gonna win. I'm gonna fight till we're done. I'm a sore loser, man. I'm gonna fight till we're done. You can beat me 12 times. I beat you one, as long as it was the last time and I won.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was, I remember that. I'm gonna have to look Matt's name up, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be easy to figure out. Just, look up Matt.
I don't think we had many Matts at that time, but that's the worst, man. Just getting cleaned out. Nobody see you. You don't see that guy.
So you would have laughed if it was someone else. So you're like the guy who sees a friend wipe out on their bike, and you're laughing your butt off, and then
even like when the guys used to get turf burn and come back to the sideline, and they just be missing like half their skin on their arm.
And you thought that was funny?
Until it happened to me, yeah.
Oh, man.
At least we know you're that guy.
I'm that guy. Got to keep it light.
Got to keep it light and lit and destroyed. That's what you did.
Everyone thinks that when you say something crazy, like we're not the only ones. Like we all have some really weird things or some things that we just go, man, that's not right. That we all do. And everybody tries to play like they don't. Yeah, come on. I'm just real.
You're so real.
Yeah. I have my flaws like anybody else. So there you go.
No way. Can't be. I know you got a lot going on, Herm. 'Cause it's been a little bit. You got that nice T-shirt on. I'm sure you got some work you got going on. Are you able to stay on more, or do you got to get going?
No, I'm good, man. I've been enjoying the whole setup with not only getting involved with this, but what I really like is looking at sports in a whole different way than I've looked at them before. And that is appreciating the talent that these individuals have. You're on the field with them, you're running around with these different players, and you don't realize what they do as individuals so much because you have to pay so much attention to your position or to your game film or whatever. But when you start to look out and see what other players are doing, and I just get amazed at just the talent level and the talent that's out there, anywhere from swimming, track and field, tennis, football, soccer, hockey, baseball. It's a whole different skill that's needed to participate at that high level.
Herman loves some track and field.
I like track and field. I like tennis. Yeah, track and field is good. Track and field is like that sport that all people can play. But I won't talk about track and field here. I will say one last thing as it relates to, this upcoming season. I look at the Detroit Lions, and there's always this optimism. And you don't want to battle the fan. You don't want to be the pessimist. And you try and have this optimism all the time. But you have to look at all the pieces that all the other teams bring. And everybody says they got the piece that solves the puzzle. But ultimately, you still have to let it play itself out. And the players you have to have players that you don't see coming, that all of a sudden they shake up the world. They come out and they're the ones that are producing at a whole nother level. Like St. Brown, he was that guy last year offensively. You know, TJ Hawkinson gets hurt. You're not getting the consistency in play in some of those positions. Your running game is kind of a duo thing that's happening. Offensive line's starting to play well and do it, but somebody breaks out, and it actually adds that new piece that you were worried about. Now you got that piece, and then you start getting these other pieces. But if you can get them to play consistently over time and produce, that's when you start winning championships. So you temper yourself when you look at this season. We want to be excited all the way through and through. The ultimate goal is to win championships. You know, if your ultimate goal is to be a fan of a team that almost gets there, you will never understand and experience what it means to be a fan of a winner and of a sports team. When I look back as a former player, I look at it, I go, that is the thing I miss the most. I cannot deliver, nor could my teammates. And it doesn't matter. You can go pick the best names you want for the Detroit Lions that could not deliver a Super Bowl. And then you look at the players you have today and you say, can this be the team? Can these players deliver what those guys could not deliver? That's how tough it is. So that's the way I approach it. I look at it, I get excited, but at the same time, take it step by step. But, you know, let's get ready. Yeah.
Was that your fire up speech?
No, it's just it's like the realism. You know, it's like we look at this, and a lot of people, you know, we talk around. We go, here's what we want to talk about on sports. Here's what we want to talk about our teams. Here's the player we want to break down. Here's the unit we want to break down. And I go, every team's doing that.
See, I look at it as therapy.
What's the therapy though?
You're just talking about it. Like, you're talking about what's going on. You get to talk about what went well, what did. It's like you're super excited, and so you want to talk about it with your friends, or you're struggling and you're really sad, and so you need somebody else to help you feel better. So you're in it together.
The emotional roller coaster.
You got to let it out. Oh yeah, I mean, road trips on the way home, like when we would lose, it was awful. And then the road trips on the way home when we would win, it was like you'd hear our stats guy in the back coming up with the most obscure stats ever with this excited voice of like, hey, so Calvin Johnson was the first guy. And then like everyone was just overly hyped.
But when you look at, and this is for everybody, right? And you're looking at it. Here's a question I would ask all of you, right? When you watch Golden State, I'm going with the Warriors, or you go with the team that's winning championship, and then you like, I can't, the energy I have when I watch I hate watching NBA games, right? I'm gonna be honest, like, because they don't play the same until the playoffs hit, or they're going down the stretch.
That's why college basketball is the way to go.
I don't like those sports where the seasons are so long. Yeah. It's just, you just see you can see the momentum and the sense of urgency shift in a big way. In football, I mean, it's like, you got to go now.
Right.
You get 4 behind. Hey, you better have a hell of a team to be able to pick up and be able to get you back in it.
Right.
And when you start seeing it tick up, even in the playoffs, it's a small uptick, but it's not that big. I mean, they bring the excitement, the environment kicks up. They bring all the bells and whistles. They do all that stuff. But the players, man, they're still going, right? And you're hoping, and you see them just building and building and building. I'm watching the basketball. I'm like, man, look at that crowd. How cool would it be to sit there and be cheering for your team, your son, your brother, your whomever, like in that environment. Like, we haven't experienced that. The only place I experienced that was in the playoff game against Dallas. And if the championship or the Super Bowl takes that even up to a whole, I don't know, I can't even imagine what that level is like.
I will tell you, the one place I experienced it was in 2013 with Michigan in the Final Four when they lost to Louisville, which I predicted would happen because the kid had the broken leg. And so, they were going to make sure that Louisville won. That gutted me. That gutted me.
I'm still stuck on you saying, do you want to be a fan of a team that almost wins a Super Bowl? Like, yeah, man, I just want to be a fan of a team that wins a game.
I mean, but here,
No, I find myself going, I just want to be competitive into December.
Hey, look at, and I won't say the parents get fanatical, right? They get a little over the top, but you look at the parent who just knows their kid, like they're winning a championship, man, they're making, it's just the expectations different. The swagger is different versus the one that goes, I know our teams will go out here and just kind of have an okay season. You're just kind of waiting them to get through the air over there. The parents are doing work. They're on their computers. They're on their phone. They're going, oh yeah, kick the ball. Do it okay. But the ones that know, like everything is on the line. This is like, we play this to win. It starts in culture.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't want to hear, right? I get it. I really do understand it. But you want people to come in almost like, not even in a jovial and laughing way at practice, but be like, you know what? Anything short of this is failure. I want that to be the standard. I want it to be, if we don't hit these milestones, not waiting to see what we get right and wait and see who's gonna show out. And I hope this doesn't turn out to be a bad pick. Really, one player, it doesn't. But no, I hope it doesn't turn out to be a bad season. Forget about the pick. It's like, I hope everybody plays well. I hope you get everyone healthy. I hope you go to the playoffs. I hope we have a chance to go and try and win a championship. Any conversations are irrelevant to me short of something like that.
You said you had a question.
That was my question. Like, what do you expect when you go to, I'm interested to ask all the others that are on, what is your true expectation? I don't want to hear about you wanting the offensive unit to get better and play well. No, what are your expectations, truly? Because you're defining to support an organization, to support a team, to follow a sport, financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. What are you expecting out of it in return from them?
I expect to play to win the game. I want to win the game. That's it. Just win. I want to win. I want to see a winner. I want to see a winner in Detroit. This city deserves a winner,
right?
Yeah, I want a championship.
No, he doesn't want championships. He prefers mediocrity.
No, he just wants to win. I mean, it's like,
I want to be like a New England Patriot fan, where you just sit back and my team's a winner. My team's always winning. I'm an Oregon Duck fan, so my team wins quite a bit. Like, you just used to the winning. In Detroit, it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's like I was a Braves fan in the 90s. You just won.
Right. What you got, Ant?
See, for me, I just, I want a team who I can see is getting better and will eventually, get to a championship. I want to see us win championships, but you have to start small. You have to have baby steps. We've had so many years of disappointment and that I just want to see tangible progress year on year, and we get better, and then we eventually reach our ultimate goal. I mean, the whole point of the reason I love the Lions over here in the UK, my soccer team who I support here, we play 4 divisions below the Premier League. It's a small club. About 4,000 or 5,000 fans here. It's not the biggest in the world, and you go through a lot of bad years. We've had a lot, and year after year, it doesn't matter how bad it gets. I still go with the same optimism that I have with the Detroit Lions here. I've been doing it for 25 years now, nearly, and the one year we eventually made it to Wembley. We won our trophy there. It's probably the only time I'll ever see them do it in my life. But year after year I did it, and eventually we reached there. We got to where we wanted to, and I'm going to remember that for my entire life. It's the same with the Lions. I just want to see them get better. I want to see them get there and win. But it is a long, tough process. But I know what the feeling's like when you eventually get there, which is why I always remain optimistic and try and look on the more positive side of things. Because I know what happens when you get there, and it's worth every step of the way you've been with them.
Dose.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that you said that, because you sound like when I talk to my dad. I'll talk to him and we're talking about we're like we could win 8 games this year, 9 games this year, and he just stopped. He's like, I don't want to talk about that. He's like, I don't care. If we don't make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. He's like, if you're not a playoff team, 9, 8 wins doesn't matter. You're talking about firing everybody, and that's how he is. And I thought that was really interesting, because that kind of what it sounded like what you said there. Like he expects that we're a playoff team. Anything less, he doesn't care what that is. And I think for me, I look at it as I want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of it together, of that team that's a Super Bowl team. But this is why I can't. Like, here's the thing: we can do all these things, and I can look out and I can make these predictive videos and say, "Well, Lions might win 9 games this year," and go schedule by schedule. But once the season starts, you throw all that out the window. If you can't do it with me, because you can't watch me predict the game before the game, because I'm predicting to win every single game. I can't help it. I predict every game right before the game starts. We're winning this football game, and here's why we're winning this game. And if we're a team that has, and the joke is like, hey, if we're ever in a playoff hunt, I'm saying we're making the playoffs. I'm looking at the scenarios, because I think that's internally, that's what I expect. We're sitting there, we're 3-5. I'm like, okay, here's how we make the playoffs. I expect them to do that. When Patricia had us at, 4-7? I think we beat Washington. It was like, okay, we're still alive. It's like, no, here's how they can make the playoffs. And then they fired everybody. But that's what it is for me. So I can say looking out, because right now I know the games aren't going on. I can try to predict out, like, okay, yeah, if we won 9, that'd be okay, because you do see the growth and this and that. But realistically, once we get in the season, if we fall short of the playoffs, I'm not happy. I'm not going to be happy when we lose. I immediately change my expectations every single week. I expect we win the football game. And if anything's short, I'm not happy with that. But for him, I think he turns that on before the season even starts. My dad's able to turn that on before the season starts if he understands I'm not going to be okay if this team's not a playoff team. I can't really turn that on until the season starts happening and we start losing, and then I'm like, oh, snap, I'm not okay with this. So I guess that's kind of my thing. I want to be a part of the winning. I want to be a part of it, of seeing the Lions win and going through that, something that they've never done at the highest level. It was going back to championships.
Talk about your dad, Dose. Before my dad passed away when I was a youngin', he says, I want the Lions to win a Super Bowl before I die. Well, he passed away last year. Now I tell my kids this. I want the Lions to win a Super Bowl before I go. I'm 37. Just get it done one time. That's my expectation.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been waiting 30. I know. I will say this. It is hard. Let's no denying it. It is hard to win Super Bowls. And there are teams, of course, that have not won. Even to the chances of repeating and becoming a 2-time Super Bowl winning organization is tough. So getting to one, it's the competitive piece of saying, at least we always called it getting to the dance. Getting to the dance means you at least are sitting at the table of opportunity. If you're sitting at the table of opportunity, it's a one-game process at that point. You've done all the other work for the seasonal part of it to get there, and that's where the focus has to be. And I'm not saying they need to come into camp and go, oh, we got a Super Bowl or bust. No, it has the mindset, and everyone's going to say, oh, well, what do you think? You think we're not trying to go to? Yeah, you are trying to go, but there's something about the goal is to go versus how you prepare, how you focus, how you talk, how you carry yourself, how you govern one another. All that goes into play, because those become extra factors, believe it or not, at this level that can make you or break you.
Well, that's something I was going to ask you, is the mental component. These winners, these teams that win the Super Bowl repeatedly, they have that expectation that they're going. It's not something that's even debatable to them. They're going to the playoffs. Absolutely. And they're looking to win a Super Bowl. It's not a question. And how much does that play into with a team like Detroit that has this stigma around them? Like, any coach or player, if you ask that question, they're going to give the cliche answer Absolutely. Of, no, it's not a big deal. We just prepare. That's all we can control. But really, what does it do to a player or a coach when you have that in the back of your mind?
It goes all the way down to the granular level. When I'm choosing how I'm going to eat in the off season, I'm preparing myself to be the best player coming in to help us as a team to make that run. It will get to be that serious. I won't say it was that way when I first came in, but I started realizing the commitment. When you saw committed players, it really made you do an audit of yourself as a player and say, am I doing everything I'm supposed to do that I can do to physically, mentally, and emotionally prepare to be that player that helps our team get to this level or go over to this point, right? And when you start to get more players doing the same, and there's become self-governing, they become, I'm not taking these unnecessary risks. I want to buy a motorcycle. I don't buy a motorcycle. I'm not saying you can't have one, but I go, you know what? There's consequences to this. I can't get injured. I can't be hurt. Maybe I want to play pickup basketball and I want to go do all these cool things, but I'm going to step away from it, and I'm going to be careful because I don't want to turn an ankle, or I don't want to be down for the count. You know, I don't want to get in trouble and make bad decisions that's going to cause me to have an issue with the NFL that's going to potentially lead to me getting a suspension. You start to do some things that it is not about what the team sees you doing. It's not about whether or not other players are on your back and saying, hey, man, come get a workout with me. It becomes this piece that you just embody it. And I know when we came in, it was like at the very least, if we didn't make the playoffs or if we got off to a bad start, we start to feel some type of tightening. I mean, you would tighten up, you get in a whole different mindset because the expectation after you come in 1991 and as a rookie, you're one game away, you lose to Washington. That was your game to go to the Super Bowl. Man, if you don't think the expectations from then on are set at a level that only thing you got left is win the conference championship and go to a Super Bowl. Anything short of that, you're going backwards.
Right. Well, and I think to what you're saying, something that, you know, I witnessed, I can't remember, you know, which players they would be, but seeing younger players with the respect level, and this is what we're talking about when it comes to when a team is built over time, and the benefit of having that building over time and not so much turnover, is that the younger players would have the respect for those older players that did what they were supposed to do, that were there getting it done properly, and they didn't want to let those players down. Yeah,
there's a focus and an urgency. They have to go hand in hand. You can build over time. I don't mind when organizations say, you know what, we're building over time. I need 3 years. I need 4 years. Well, you know what? You also got to be looking at ways to accelerate that development. You always are looking at ways, how do I not cut corners, but how do I accelerate development? How do I accelerate maturity? How do I accelerate cohesiveness? How do I accelerate culture and understanding and expectation, accountability? And if you start to get all those things in place, you start to build championships. So when I'm evaluating, when we look and you start throwing out names to me, and we sit here as a panel and we start talking about here's who they have picked up this year. Here's who they've added to plug and play in this location to help them get from this level to this level. Now you're not a passive fan. Now you're actually up and stepping up your game as a fan, because you're saying, listen, I understand where they are. I understand when they're going forward and when they're going backwards. And there's not a bunch of lip service. You can see through the BS. You can see through the toss away lines and all that stuff. The game then takes on a whole different level to you. That's, as a fan, because that's what I am now, even though I'm an alum and I'm a former player and all this, I look at it and I go, okay, I temper myself, but at the same, I do look at them and I get upset, and I know I'm getting upset for the right reason. And I did my part, right? My off-season fan and alum piece, I need to be ready to go. I may not know everyone's name because I didn't know everybody's name when I played with them. But I'll tell you what, I do. I sit there and I watch this, man. I take it serious. So when I even come on here, it's you know, I don't want to just be just poop and giggles and talk. Like, we gonna talk. Let's talk shop.
Don't say that word again.
You know,
I hate that word.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I hate it.
If we gonna talk, let's talk shop. You know, tell me that you're really invested, right? As a fan, that you're really invested as a person who's following the numbers and statistics. Don't give me this guy's just, he runs a 4.240 and all of a sudden he's just so fast. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear about how fast the guy is. Now you tell me, is he a boss when he get out there on the field? Is he elevating that team? And if he is, you know, how and why? Long term, short term. Let's talk shop. Right? So that's it, man. I love it. I love being on here with you guys.
I just asked a question to the chat, and right now it's 100%, so I'm going to ask this one to Herman. So everybody in the chat said yes to this question. Will the Detroit Lions win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? Herman Moore.
I can't say that definitively. No.
Chrissy.
No. And you know where I would feel better off saying that? If I felt more comfortable and had the stability of the backup quarterback position. If I knew that the running game was going to be settled. That's just the offensive side. I feel good about the offensive line.
If Herman knew that there was talent at every position that could dominate, then he could say yes.
But I don't know who's going to stay together. Like right now, this could look totally different again next year.
It'll come down to the kicker.
What will come down to the kicker?
Whether we win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure it always does. I don't know if we'll be coming into any playoff NFC conference championship games where the kicker wasn't needed. At this point, I don't know if I can go for that one. I can't definitively say it's Super Bowl, but I will say this: inside of the next 5 years, I would expect this team to be in the playoffs 2 to 3 times in the next 5 years. Ooh. Can they win a Super Bowl? Not sure about that. And I'd say that because I've looked at the NFC North, and I'm looking at those that are leaving and moving over, and the swaps that are taking place at the different conference levels. I don't think there's any more real super dominant teams because they're starting to fall apart because of the money, and people are chasing, like you see in the NBA. Everyone's looking for that dream team, and you're going to get guys that are going to be willing to take less money to go play places that are stacked if they can, and if their contract allows them to get out.
The 97 Florida Marlins.
And I just think you're going to have that run that's coming up. The Lions will be playoff bound team. I can commit you to that. Where they go from there and winning the Super Bowl, I don't know. That's a tough read for me right now. Still,
We got little homie right here. She's been part of the organization for a long time. Will the Lions win the Super Bowl in the next 5 years?
I'm not going to give an answer as long as Herman's. But
ouch.
Number one, they have to keep the same coaching staff. Number two, they can't make any knee-jerk responses to something not going the right way any given year. Can't be any knee-jerk firings, knee-jerk things like that. Still can't say yes. But I'm with you. I'm with you on the playoff team. I am. But no, I can't commit. I can't commit to Super Bowl in 5 years.
The 100% question, if the question is, would you like for them, or would that be an awesome thing for them to go to Super Bowl? Absolutely. Do I absolutely want them to? Yes. I think all players, especially if I'm playing with them, you want these players to go to the Super Bowl. Every team wants that.
I mean, to me, the conversation of will a team win a Super Bowl is when you're talking about the teams that are already in contention, and you go, do they have that? Are they going to have that missing piece to go to a Super Bowl? I think in this case, it's like, are they going to become a contention team? Are they going to?
Everyone's looking at what happened with Cincinnati.
Yes.
Everyone's looking at, you always get those teams in 3 to 5 years that come out of nowhere. They look like their team was completely imploded, and now they're winning their division, they're leading their conference, they've only lost a game or two, and now they're the hot team running into the playoffs. And unless they get dethroned by a much more veteran team or different coaching staff that's a little bit more savvy and a little bit more proven and battle tested, typically you will find it. Will the Detroit Lions be one of those teams? Can they be one of those teams? Yes, but it all goes back to that one thing. They got to get to the dance. They got to get to the playoffs before we can even have that as a conversation. And to go from not being able to get there to all of a sudden saying, I'm going to win a Super Bowl, it's just not that easy. It's just not that easy.
Ask us after 3 games.
Yeah.
Or 1 game.
I do got something to confirm with you, though. It was Matt Russell who blew you up.
Matt Russell.
Spanos.
That was that Matt Russell, man. Blew me up.
Wonder where Matt is now.
It hurt my feelings, man, because I was like, dude, and Matt and I, we were like,
You guys were tight, clearly, because you knew his whole name.
I'm like, for him to just straight up, your starting receiver, man, and you just.
You and Matt, the linebacker, were tight.
Matt, we've gone out to lunch and dinner and stuff like that, man. When he's in town or whatever, he's come back, man. We've hung out and stuff. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. On the field, he's just gonna blow me up like that, man. That's just. I felt some type of way. You know what I mean?
Matt.
Yeah, Matt Russell.
Got to get him on the podcast. Talk about the blow up.
We'll see if we can find him. I'm going to see if I can locate him so he can come back and tell that story. Find out what the hell he was thinking.
Dose, do we go to a Super Bowl in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I'll keep it short too. But Chrissy was spitting some facts there. Because here's my thing. It's as simple as this. The reason that I have any hesitation is because of the ownership. It's because of them making those crazy decisions and not sticking to what, they believed in and they put together. But with that said, I believe what we've seen so far, that Sheila Ford Hamp is doing that. And as long as these are the head coach and Brad Holmes is the guy and Dan Campbell's here for the next 5 years, yes, they will win the Super Bowl. Because as we said before, that's the expectation. They will win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. Because a rebuild doesn't take 7 years to make happen. It'll happen if it's going to happen. So yes.
Anthony.
I'm with DoseOfDion here. Herman will tell you as a player, there is one reason to play in the NFL. That is to win a Super Bowl. And what you're effectively saying is if you can't see us in a Super Bowl within 5 years, you don't trust Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes to get you there, because that is a long time, considering they've already had a year. You're saying you don't trust them to get you there. So why are we bothering with them if we don't think they can get us to a Super Bowl? 6 years is a long time in his team building it, so I have to believe deep down that they can get us there. And I think Brad Holmes is smart enough to construct a roster. He's done it very quickly so far. He's changed it very rapidly. I think within 5 years, he'll have a roster assembled, capable of doing it. And we can at least make a good effort of going. But why bother if we don't believe we can't get there?
It's a good one. Folks,
can I add one little thing to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
One real quick thing to that. I have to. On the trust, Anthony, on the trust, it's not so much it's the trust, it's the lay of the land now in the NFL. Players, they chase for different reasons. Back in the day when you didn't have the salaries you have now, you didn't chase the money, you chased the ring. Now players will chase that. It's not about Brad Holmes, it's not about Dan Campbell. It's about who's got the better opportunity long term for the paycheck, because I know this is a short career. Guys are very focused about getting in and out as quickly as they can and making what they can and they can't. It's not about the Hall of Fame. That the number of guys that are looking for that in championships right now, I don't think is at the height it used to be.
Well, and cap and salary management, like when we had Sue, Stafford, and Calvin, like the majority of our money was tied up in those three players.
But and that's what I'm saying, though. The player, I think some of it is, it's not so much as cut and dry and easy as we can predict. We used to be able to predict. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely think that Brad Holmes, I think that the coaches, the management love him. I think they've done a really, really good job putting them in the best position to win. I think they've done the best they could with the players that they've had to work with. But I just think there's so much unpredictable factors that could ultimately destroy your team that no longer is based on, I mean, I could just not like you as a coach and you didn't play me well and I feel like it should be better. Now you've lost depth in your position behind your starters because they see greener grass and pasture somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So that's all. So we're saying to say, that's what I don't trust. So I want to make sure it gets understood. I don't trust that part of it. And that's where I just don't know.
He does what he's saying is he does trust. He likes the coaching staff.
I like the coaching staff, like the culture, loving I haven't been this happy about it since Coach Caldwell. But the NFL, man, it's a changing game. And if you got the money and you got the attraction like Vegas, you can get some players, even if you're not going to win Super Bowls, but you can go attract a lot of really good talent.
Yeah, Jim Caldwell was a great coach. He was a great coach, by the way.
Awesome conversation.
Folks, we've been on for a little over an hour, and it was an awesome, awesome conversation with everybody on LNU. Make sure you hit that like button. If you want the Lions to win a Super Bowl, you'll smash that like button because it's proven that more likes you get, the more chances the Lions win a Super Bowl. Hey, that's what we call us. Got to hit that like button.
That's fan factor.
It's 100%. Hey, Dose, man, what do you got to say when we close this bad boy out?
Have fun at training camp. Hit Golden Corral. I mean, hey, H-Man knows where it's at. He knows. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you and I, man, I'm going with you. Your treat.
Yes, sir. We all going. That's the thing. Okay, hold on. We all going, man. That's the set price. Bam, eat as much as you want. That's money. So hit Golden Corral, and I don't know what else to say. Actually, that's about it.
Anthony, man, what do you got to say when we start to end this here?
as always, now I just, want to say thank you for having me on here. I love doing this and I love chatting with all you guys and that. So yeah, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you embracing us over here. So thank you very much.
For sure. Hey, do you guys want to close it out there, Herm and Chrissy, the main attraction?
I'll let Chrissy close. I just want to say thanks to everybody for just taking the time out of their day to join us and being here on LNU. And again, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, continue to, just join us and enjoy what we're doing. We're looking forward to continue to grow this base. I think we have some really good conversation. And if there are topics that they would like for us to engage on, please drop us a line and let us know that. But again, thanks for that. And looking forward to a great season.
You basically just closed it out. All right, I'm going to close it out with this because I'm terrible at just coming up with random stuff. But I'll say, Herman, what's on your mind right now? What's going through your mind?
I got to get to work. Got to go out here, make some money to pay for these tickets.
Adios.
Yeah.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it.